Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our meeting on September 3rd, 2024. A couple of things before we start the meeting. The Montague Fire annual pit barbecue is this Saturday, so bring your empty stomachs. It's always a good eat there. I know the rec crew is also going out to the Red Blacks game right before that too as well, so we're hoping to be back. We should be back in time to also go to the Red Blacks game and come back and have some good eats at the annual pit barbecue. It's always a big success with lots of people, so looking forward for that. The Sip and Sign event is also on September 13th too as well. And we have a trivia night September 20th. And there's more events coming up too as well. So keep following everything that's going on because there's always a lot happening in Montague. So we'll open the meeting now and we'll start out with our land acknowledgement. The council and the staff from the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Ashabi Nation. We'll have our moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. So first thing, adopt the agenda. So we're going to amended to add 3G. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the regular meeting of council agenda dated September 3rd, 2024 be amended this date to add item 3G and to put items 8C, E, F, G, and H from information to action. All in favor? And that's good. Any disclosure of interest or any at all, just let me know during the meeting. The minutes from the previous meeting, so moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Johnson, that the minutes of the previous meeting dated August 6, 2024, and the special meeting of August 13th, 2024 be approved as presented. All in favor? And that's carried. So the first thing we have on the docket is delegations, and from the Perth and Swiss Falls District Hospital MRI campaign update. And Margaret Hallam will be coming up to the podium and talking to us. Welcome, Margaret.
Well, thank you. It's Margot. It's Margot. But it's okay. It's my mother's fault. Thank you. The energy in the room is contagious from earlier conversation. So thank you very much for having me here. It's more of an update, just to fill you in on what we've been up to. Press forward. Yep. Sorry, I lost it. I got it. There we go. Just a little bit about the foundation. We are separate from the hospital board, and our foundation is a non-for-profit. And basically what we do is we are the fundraising arm for the hospital. So everything from beds to IV pumps to MRIs. The funding comes through the foundation. So it's an important element that we do, and we are really proud of the work that we've done this past year. Our board of directors are similar to yourselves, so you can get voted in, but our board of directors are volunteers, and we have a great group of folks on our board. This board stands alone from the hospital board. They also have their own board of directors, made up of great volunteers as well. So this past year, we have raised 1.8 million, which is not to count in the monies that we have raised for the MRI. So we have 2,229 donors. 8 departments were impacted from the funds that we raised. We have really raised our donorship base this past year, and we're really thrilled to be able to say that the hard work is starting to pay off, and the community has really stood behind us on this. 36 pieces of equipment have been purchased, including pretty much all of our departments throughout both. So the foundation raises funds for our one hospital, but we have 2 sites. Donors can be site specific when they're giving a gift, or it can go to the general need of our community for the hospital in general. So, sorry. For our MRI campaign update, we have raised so many of the glasses that come on and on. You know, sorry guys. Has raised 2.6 million to date. We're in the middle of our 3-year campaign. We are running right between, we're hoping to wrap it up by the end of 2025. It could be 2026, but we're doing the best we can. Since the date that overseeing 1,780 MRIs performed. From that number, 480 have been within municipality. It's broken down by address, so if you have residents from Montague, it could be Smith Falls with their address and, but there's 480 that have come through there. So Smith Falls and Firth have both been the highest, folks that have come through for our MRI here. So the other really crucial thing that's keeping, us on the map is the hospital is the first site in Canada to receive the detachable MRI table. So if you are having an MRI and the fire alarm goes off, they will be able to, release you from that table and move you to a safe zone, so you're not stuck there. And everything is shut down. So we've been hosting physicians and technical staff from as Niagara Health Region, New Brunswick and Cobourg. So GE really has us on the map for what we are doing and what we're starting to complete. There's some quotes there. I'm not going to read them to you for reasons of giving from the folks that have actually been through our MRI process. Our first story was an MRI, or the MRI first story of a local resident from Smith Falls, David Smith. He was thrilled. We were happy to be able to see him through to be able to come and attend. He got in fairly quickly. He only had great things to say, which is one of the reasons that he's here, and he was very grateful that he didn't have to travel. He's been not feeling great for some time and sitting in the car having to go and get some services done. It was great that he could come and go take his way through lunch after, so we were thrilled to have him on board. Some of the highlights that we do, I know last year when I was here, we were talking about third-party events, and we can't do what we do without the people within our community. So we did really, really well with our family fun. We hosted another one this May. Great support, great folks that came out. We had our Care Close to Home golf tournament a week ago, Friday. Another one, we raised $77,000 for surgical equipment for that tournament. We have our Black Tie Bingo Gala coming up November 16th this year, and it's going to be going towards cataract microscope, which is done in Smith Falls. So we're excited about that. We're hoping to raise more than what we did last year, which was $108,000. Tim Hortons in Smith Falls, all three locations supported us again this year with their Smile Quickie. Thrilled to have them. Who doesn't smile when they have a cookie? So that was great. Radiothon will be held again this year, October 17th. So please spread the news and call in and get folks to listen to what's happening for the Radiothon. Giving Tuesday is going to be December first Tuesday after giving. What's Black Friday? It's a Black Friday that everybody goes to go shopping for.
Yeah.
So it's the first Tuesday after that, and we're going to be, we have a match for that Giving Tuesday. So we're excited to see where we raise, and we did really well last year as well. So family fun run, we have a community out of Perth that we're excited to do this. They're doing it again coming October the 6th. Our split pot lottery is still going strong, and our 50-50 is going strong. So those are ways that you can support. And hopefully you win something. And I've been telling people that always say, pick my name. It's just we keep spelling it and saying it wrong. So, keep trying, keep the hope out there. They never know. So one of the big projects that we had for 2023 was incorporating the donor recognition levels and the donors who have given over the years. This donor wall you'll see in the Smith Falls site as well as the Perth site in the main lobby. And Montague Township since 1992. They're at the leader level. They have always been a supporter where we're at right now. So total contribution since that time for the Montague Township is $150,000. So I would be doing my job if I didn't come in and ask for support. And I know that the county does support for hospital funding. It's for different projects. The ask is a little bit different. I'm not sure as far as your ratepayer lines and such go, but I know other municipalities, even though they do support through the county fire departments, the police departments, they also do have on the ratepayer line, whatever it is, whatever they have calculated to support the capital equipment for the hospital. That hospital money, the monies that the municipalities have been given will also be, if it is for the MRI project, will also be acknowledged down in the MRI unit. So there's always recognition and they always, support and thank you for your support. And I've just broken this down as far as if you wanted to consider an investment, if it's a one-time offer, that's fine. But if you looked at a $30,000 3-year commitment, so 10,000 a year, that would be very beneficial for our community and given the fact that our MRI is being used very much locally here. So again, breaking it down over the 3 years at $7.66 per person over 3 years, so $255 a year. I just put that out there just to bring up conversation for you to consider. It's just more of an update that we can't do it without the help of our municipalities and we can't do it without the help of our community. So, again, thank you for everything that you have given in the past, but we still need your support moving forward. So that being said, it's short and sweet because I know you've probably heard this before, but I'm very happy to take, I just wanted to make sure that you have a definition between what is happening between hospital and foundation. The ask for the hospital has been in the past to the county for their health management system. So it's called the renewal program, which is going to be able to interconnect all files that what you're doing. So that is another important thing for our community to be able to get medical records from one facility to the other. So I understand everything as far as, everyone is out through the ask, but my passion here is with the foundation and our hospital, and I hope you feel the same. So I've left invitations, part of the MRI. We did have the opening ribbon cutting back in June, and unfortunately we had to cancel that and postpone it. It will be held on the 18th of September. Again, county council meeting. But we have also opened it up to the rest of the municipalities for those who can't make it on the 18th for September the 26th, which is a Thursday. Love to see you there. Love you to show the facilities. Your team is more than welcome to come and just get to know our team a little bit better and welcome you to meet the diagnostic technicians, everybody who is working for you. I'm happy to take questions, and if not, call me whenever you want.
Thank you, Margot. That was great. It's also quite encouraging to hear of some of the donors and the increased sort of community support too as well from the foundation. As we know, there was a bit of a lull there, so it's kind of nice that we're seeing the community kind of stepping up and recognizing like sort of the benefits that can be. That's really the core of what we're looking for is the community to try to help out with that support.
And we're more than willing to work with any of your community members as well. They just need to get in touch with us and we can work together. So I think the momentum is building. We've had, there was a lot happening, after COVID as far as amalgamating the foundations, getting the ball rolling. But 6.1 million for the MRI is a big ask for any committee, and everyone is asking. And unfortunately, I'll take a step back because I know you're municipal governments, but the government does not fund any of this. So it is on the community, it is on foundations all across Ontario. So it's a big ask. Everybody's asking.
It is a tricky one, and I know because we've advocated definitely for sort of a change in the funding model from the province too as well, because I think we recognize that there's a funding problem there. Is that the community can support us. There's only so much, and we also know the cost of things getting so much more expensive. So it'd be nice to see, once again, to continue to advocate for that loaded change in funding. Because I think even the perpetual way that we're going is maybe not a sustainable way to continue. But it'd be nice that if we could find ways to, because I think everybody enjoys or likes having the hospital, obviously, in their community and everything else. So,
well, I think it's very important. And I agree. I couldn't agree with you more as far as getting that conversation on the table around being, what you're going to for sure, because every hospital is suffering and, things are more expensive and, we all understand that groceries are important. Don't worry, until you need that service and you don't have to drive an hour or two or wait 2 years for it, it doesn't really come into place. So we've been, I don't want to say fortunate, but we've had a lot of local folks that have been able to use the services and all the departments within the hospital. Like it's really cool to be able to offer cataract surgery at our Smithville site for the residents of the area. So I appreciate your time, and all I can do is ask for you to consider anything.
we'll open up the council to as well as any questions from council at all. No questions. I mean, from the county council, I mean, it'd be nice if, like, we would have liked I know county council would have liked to have been there for the opening and maybe appreciate the alternative date for the open house,
We'll
but
do the same.
yeah, so I'd say, but
Because anyway, I appreciate that. I hope to see you all there. So all municipalities have been asked, so we're hoping to get Reese, those are seeing at the county table on the 26th. It'll be much more relaxed. And you'll get a chance to see more of it on the 26th. So thank you.
Thank you,
for
Margot.
coming. Appreciate your time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna move on to the regular part of the rest of the meeting. So the first thing that we have on is our public works manager Ian Hall talking about the Rideau Trail agreement. Take it away, Ian.
Hello, everybody. What the board is in regards to the land use agreement with the Rio Trail Association. The township entered a land use agreement with the association in 2019, which is due for renewal. There's no copy of the original agreement or bylaw, and the Rio Trail Association doesn't have a copy either, so it needs to be renewed, but it'll have to be done by a new bylaw. I reviewed the agreement with the Rio Trail Association, and it seems like there's no reason for any changes at all to the original bylaw. So I would ask that new bylaw be passed to replace the original one with the same option for a 5-year extension that would have happened this year. Where it's still in possession. And there's no financial implications of that at all. Basically just like replacement.
Basically, this is approved by 20. This is just basically kind of connect the trails together at the end of the day, right? So this is, yeah.
Yeah, so the agreement with all the maintenance that's required from the Trail Association, and they have our responsibilities compared to theirs, and requires what they require from them for insurance. And
Sort of good. Any questions from council at all as far as? Pretty basic, yeah, so sounds good. I'm sure we'll be moving on to that for our bylaw there review, so. So moved by Reed Jennings, seconded by Councillor Abbas. The council approved bylaw number 4085-2024 to enter into the road allowance use agreement between the Rideau Trail Association and the Corporation of the Township of Montague. All in favor? That's good. Ian, you need to come back up.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk just quickly about the generator, I guess, yeah.
yeah, so June 18th, council meeting, staff approved, or sorry, council approved that the generator and some other piece of equipment be deemed surplus. Everything sold on gov deals except for the generator, which didn't meet the reserve that was set for it. The highest bid was $5,300 and the reserve was set to $7,500. So it's very lower than what we had hoped to get for it. So we have a few options to relist the generator. We can offer it to the highest bidder at the $5,300. He or she may or may not be still interested. The other option would be to just relist it on gov deals with different reserve or no reserve. And then another option would be to sell it at a set price in some other way. And believe council approves, we can sell it on the Facebook marketplace or such property. So those are the options, and financially, this is the generator. The proceeds from it would, as was stated in the June 18th council meeting, it would be placed in reserves.
Is there a reason why we think it's worth $10,000?
It's just, we saw a number of listings online for things similar. One listing was the exact same. It was worth, it was still being bid on. It was like 15,000. And then some of the other some staff members and fire members that are more knowledgeable on this sort of things than I am thought it would be worth more than what the bid was on it. And it has pretty low hours. It's an old piece of.
It's been red tagged too as well though, right? So,
The tank was red tagged, so the tank is that's being gotten rid of, but the generator is still totally fine. It's just fuel tank that was red tagged.
Okay, do you have any questions from council? For sure, yeah, Jim.
My opinion is you ask the ones and get $5,300, you better get something and get the thing out again.
Carol?
I would suggest relisting it, and reset your value a bit lower. The reason I say that is in auctions, it's all about the day it went up and who happened to be bidding at that time. The likelihood that you'll get a higher bid on the second time around is actually very likely. We are getting closer to the fall. People want things running when it's cold. So I would recommend relisting it and maybe trimming down your. If you had 75, maybe go down to 6, but you still actually might get your 75, your original asking price. If it sits there, then you're still gonna get, I guarantee you'll get your 5,300. If it's worth 1510, you'll have somebody, so if it comes in at 5,300 again, we can reach out to that individual and not wait.
We have a spot.
I was gonna say, is it in the way right now?
It is right now because it's in the garage, which is coming down, but there would be room for it short term in one of the other buildings, but. It'll have to go soon.
And how is that fed? Is that oil, gas?
It's diesel, yeah, it's cat diesel.
See, it's not, see, it's gonna be for that.
It would not be for housing, but there's a lot of people who have shops and everything else. It's still an expensive piece of machinery. I'm just saying, it's not unreasonable to say, let's put it back up for another bid, see what happens, and then we can make the amendment that if it comes under, or we can offer to that person right away.
When we put up for gov deals, it usually sits up for what?
I had it on for 2 weeks originally. It's good, I think, to get exposure as it stays there longer, but all the bids came in the last day, but it was up for only 1 week, might be less people would see it.
It's usually people, so the first couple of weeks, everybody sees it. Nobody bids until the last days, because they want, it doesn't matter how long, you give them 6 months of bidding. And you'll have a couple of bids that'll just kind of be very low ball at the beginning. And then at the end, everybody kind of sees where everybody's going, and then everybody starts bidding. And then depending on how you have your last minute bids, that's when everybody kind of peters out.
And when we get, like, we use gov deals, but we get good exposure going like the Facebook Marketplace or something like that. There's gov deals is kind of the best place to go for this kind of thing, I would think.
Yeah, I don't have too much to talk about that, so I'm saying there's one of that magnitude on visual marketplace, so I don't know if he could reach out privately, I don't know if that's an option really, but
So what, again, and to go along with your own suggestion right now, like, is Karen, I should be looking over you, but eugenics, sorry, yes, yeah.
Just a question as to, can we list it on Gov Deals and on Marketplace or wherever, like dual locations? Or do we have to list it just with one or the other?
They would be competing, so I would say you're not going to be able to do the both. Because you'd have competing bids on 2 different setups.
So if you had a set date that it closes on and time, could the results from both locations not be taken though? Only because if Gov Deals limits the exposure to somebody who might be interested because they don't use that site, and Marketplace is somewhere where they might pick it up, it's just a question I have.
I don't think you can list on, can't list, if it's listed on Gov Deals, I think you are already in a contract with Gov Deals that it has to stay. If somebody purchases it through them, you can't take that away from them after they bid on it. Unless it's worth, like, in this case, they didn't meet the reserve.
Once it hits the reserve, you're not pulling it back, right? So then you could have 2, once again, maybe you could have 2 competing.
So they have exclusive.
Usually any type of auction. And you might be able to speak to this better, but usually anything that you bring in auction, because they're getting a percentage of your sale value. You're in a contract with them until that said auction is done, and then if reserve isn't met, then it's still yours. But that's usually the way the auctions all work.
So I'm gonna throw out a suggestion, like maybe we put it back on the gov deals, we lower our threshold, maybe like to what Gerald said, like $6,000. And we put it up for like a show up to until I'm gonna say, like, because we like to maybe by next meeting, have like another resolution, if it's either sold or another one, we put it up until like a week from Friday to like, to give it, and then at that point, we could say, okay, we either have a sold, and we can say that in council, or we have to figure out a different one. Like in 2 weeks from now and say, we need to like either accept the lower one or do something else or something like that. Does that work? Did it work, or as council like maybe?
Well, I think if we give them again the 2 weeks and, do another short 2 weeks in, which we wouldn't have an answer response by this, but we can have a meeting to just say, like, we can approve to offer to somebody else if we don't, we can reserve or whatever.
So how much do they take off? If you put the bid at 6,000, how much do they take off?
Just the bid, the person who bids, they have to pay an additional bidder's premium, but the bid that they put in is what the seller gets.
Thanks.
If we approach the person who had the bid in for 5,300. Are we in contravention with the agreement that we have with Gov Deals if we've now circumvented them?
So you don't get to see who the person is with the bid,
Oh,
you just,
okay.
there's an option to offer to the highest bidder,
Okay.
and they won't tell you who it is until you maybe offer.
So I thought maybe you knew and now we were gonna
No,
go around sideways and not.
Chair through you, so we can't offer it as per procurement to disposal, we can't just offer it to somebody. So we can post it externally through an auction again, my recommendation would be to set the reserve at 5,000, not 6,000. And dispose of the item, we paid $10,000 for it whenever we got it. We need it out of our
We
space
need
right
to-
now.
Like we just need to move it at the end of the day, right? So, and if we don't hit the $5,000 mark next time, it comes out at 4,800,
Then we're gonna post on Marketplace.
and we'll put it on marketplace after that.
Yeah.
So, yes,
Just quickly, the township can't, like, the township's Facebook page is not able to post on Marketplace. It would have to be a specific individual that would be posting
It will be
on
the
Marketplace.
Finding authority.
Just wanted to clarify that, like, we could put it on our personal page and say we have this item for sale, but we wouldn't be able to post on Marketplace specifically.
so I guess, I mean, 5,000, 6,000.
Well, you still, so you're saying at 5,000, that doesn't mean you won't get sold.
100%.
So like, I have.
At least you're triggering it.
At least you're triggering it. In one way or the other, it in theory should be gone. The guy might get, the guy in the business, whatever, might get a better deal. We might get an extra grand out of it, but at least you just went through the process and it's done.
Yeah, it's like a lot, less like well over $1,000
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, so if that's agreeable with council, so we'll do that, we'll throw back on Gov Deals, we don't need to come back to council then. We're gonna put the reserve at 5, and then if, well, we can throw it on marketplace after, if it doesn't get that reserve, but hopefully it won't, so.
so, sorry, just to clarify, so don't offer it to, if it doesn't reach reserve, still don't offer it to the, put it up for privately.
That work? Okay, thank you. Who's the thought direction on that, right? So moved by Councillor Vass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. Like council direct staff on how to sell the generator, declare it a surplus on June 18th regular meeting of council. Surplus in the June 18th regular meeting of council. All right? No. The organization's not able to put things from their, like, how do car dealerships do it? How do, sometimes you see that on marketplace, do you know, or not?
It's an individual salesman posting it.
Oh, you're right, okay, yeah, it's the, yeah, they're showing off what they have.
Yeah.
Oh, we're good. So moved by Councillor Vass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. The council directs staff to post a surplus generator on Go Deals for 2 weeks with a reserve bid of $5,000. The council directs the clerk administrator to post in the marketplace for sale if the reserve bid is not met. All in favor? Thank you, ma'am. Next up on the docket is Kirsten at the sale of the non-viable land update.
At the August sixth committee of the whole meeting, council passed a resolution to declare lot 152 on plan 2707 surplus to their needs and directed staff to submit a request for reconsideration to MPAC to see if we could get the $29,000 assessment lowered, because that parcel of land is not able to be independently developed due to its proximity to the railway. I think we broke a record in receiving a response as quickly as we did, and MPAC has lowered that assessment to $1,900. So staff are looking for direction from council if we want to proceed with that $1,900 valuation, or if we want to contact a realtor to obtain a letter of opinion. Staff would recommend that we go with MPAC's assessment. If council does wish to proceed with the new $1,900 valuation, then staff will reach out to the applicant to ensure that he's still interested in purchasing that lot from the township, receive the deposit that's required pursuant to our policy, and commence the notification process that is part of that policy. That's it. Short and sweet.
That is it. Thank you, Kirsten. It was quite fast.
It was
I
very-
think it'd be like a 3-month process.
It was
for
less
that.
than a week.
Like,
It was
that's,
really fast. I was like refreshing. And there it was great.
Well done, impact. So it's,
Well done, Impact.
that's great. So any questions from council as far as that goes, or does that sound pretty?
Amazing job.
Everybody?
Everything just happened to work together.
Yeah, so let's go back to, okay, we'll go back to the proponents and see what,
So,
where goes to check.
okay, perfect. Thank
So
you.
moved by Councillor Crabtree, second by Councillor Johnson. The council accept the revised impact assessed value of $1,900 as the valuation of the subject lands and direct staff to advise the applicant accordingly. And the council directs staff to complete the transfer of lands to Ivan A. Stepper in accordance with the sale of the other disposition of the township owned land policy. All in favor? That's carried. Next up is, I'll let Carlson take it out with something that's not completed.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this is an older file, going back to 2019, 2020, obviously COVID happened after that. So, the background is in short, that these and Shirley, applicants or purchasers, there is, they applied or came to the township to stop up and close some road allowances in a deemed subdivision location. Because the Lee's property, their house is actually was on an open road, or part of a roadway in the subdivision. The subdivision has not come to fruition. It's actually probably gonna be reverted back out of a subdivision. So at that time, the motion passed by council was for that, and that council exempt the applicants from the costs. The bylaw that was passed by council in 2020 with the agreement stated the opposite. So basically that the purchasers would pay their portion and the township would pay their portion. But in actual fact, the township paid the entire legal bill for the stop up closure and conveyance of the road allowances. In that agreement, though, was a application to consolidate was to be undertaken. In the agreement, it states on the purchaser, but again, it also stated the purchaser was to pay the legal fees, and that was not actually the direction of council. So staff have reached out to the legal firm that was working on this as well, and they noted that they also should have moved this forward on the application to consolidate the lots. So for the lease, there's about there's 2 roads and 2 parcels. So it looks like they have 4 parcels, which should all be one. So the law firm has also said they would take on half the cost. So right now, the anticipated cost is $600 for us to complete this, for both parties and get this cleaned up. And it can be covered in the 2024 legal line, so our recommendation is for council to approve this and for us to move forward and get it cleaned up so that these individuals have the appropriate, consolidated properties.
And also, yeah, I think it's just kind of coming out, we need to clean up and $600. So that's housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
Yeah.
Housekeeping. Very good, so yes, perfect. So move by Councilor Johnson, second by Reed Jones, the council direct staff to proceed with the completion of the application to consolidate the Louise and Shirley properties from the 2019-2020 road closing and transfer agreement, and the council approved the cost to be funded by the township based on a resolution from 2018. All in favor? That's perfect. Thank you for cleaning that up, please, and finding that.
Taking notes.
Getting it out of there, okay. Well, thank you for coming to us too as well, and also said, we apologize on behalf of the township too as well, for not completing that. So. Next up is, Allison again for the extension agreement.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a request from a mortgagee, to extend the agreement. So basically this property is in tax sale position, the background on tax sale position. So currently, the legislation is 2 years plus current. This property is set to go to tax sale, on October 26th of 2024. The mortgagee of the property has requested an extension. And my recommendation is for us to pass the bylaw this evening and allow the extension, the mortgagee to June, I believe I provided it until June, 2024, to give them some time, as they were notified.
Okay, any questions from council? No, we're good for that, so we can't let Allison to that, so, okay. Moved by Reed Jennings and seconded by Council Abbas. Staff recommends the council pass the bylaw on the agenda of September 3rd, so we can report to authorize the extension agreement with Gasco Holdings Incorporated. All in favor? And that's carried. Next up is talking about the recreational grant that we heard at AMO. Back, and Allison is together a great proposal.
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, so this is some funding that has become available from the province. They had noted back in April of this year that they were going to be coming up with investing up to $200 million over 3 years into Ontario's communities with the sport and recreation facilities. On August 19th, they did open the applications for the program. The program has 2 streams. So stream 1 is for rehabilitation and stream 2 is a new build. So stream 1 has a deadline and it's up to a maximum of $1 million, 50% funded, 70% for smaller municipalities. The second stream is new builds and it's up to $10 million, 50% or 70% for municipalities under 20,000 population. Based on the recreation feasibility plan and what we've started at the 22 acres, the recreation feasibility plan really brings forth the information that Montague ratepayers are looking for affordable and accessible recreational spaces. So they're not looking for the indoor rinks, that type of thing. They're looking for access to more of a outdoor multi-use space with a roof. So what we are proposing, so in the report, it shows the 22 acres and in there in the field, it shows in the legend a multi-purpose sport pad. So whenever we say multi-purpose sport pad or building in this, we're talking about a concrete pad with a roof. We're not talking about closed-in walls. Now, on our plan, we have closed-in walls for 2 change rooms and a washroom, because it's not going to be open to the public, and a facility to hold the electrical and that type of thing. But it's not a closed-in structure. It's a roofed outdoor structure for multi-purpose though. So what we would be looking for is that it would have the hockey rink boards, but that it would be used for a multitude of sports. Like it could be badminton, pickleball, ball hockey, basketball, we have basketball nets, farmers markets on Saturday mornings maybe. Music festivals, all kinds of things, right? But more to the affordable side of recreation is what we're trying to look at. Based on what we've heard from feedback from this community. So. We do have, we have to submit a quote, so staff have received a quote for a building. Now, we got a quote for a building that is a steel structured building. It would be the best of the potential buildings that we could put up. Only because if we're applying for a grant, it's usually better. In our grant, we're not saying it's a steel structure. We're saying, here's the quote. This is the size of the structure. I'm not even gonna call it a building, I'm gonna call it a structure. But we could go to a wood frame, or we could go to the concrete pad with the big tarp covers. Because no matter what you put in, the Deputy and I were speaking about this, no matter what roofing system you put in, you get birds and everything that get up in there and they poop on everything, so you end up putting netting across it, which the netting would protect the plastic covering and all that, so it really doesn't matter which form we put on. So that would be your worst case scenario. Potentially that project could come in substantially cheaper, depending on which option we go with and what is the most financially responsible for us. Included in my report, I did not put the, I did not put in the business plan, and I apologize that I didn't. The intent for this building would be that it would be relatively revenue neutral, so that we may allow somebody to have naming rights of the structure. So maybe it's $5,000 per year for 5 years and you're paying to have your name on that. That would offset the hydro costs for it, right? And then you might sell other advertisement for $300 or $400 per card, like other rings that other facilities do. Because I know that there's a lot of organizations in Montague and businesses that have already come forward to us about the 22 acres and said, if you guys put fencing up, we would pay to put our placards on there and advertise and also put into the 22 acres. So I think that ultimately this building could run revenue neutral in that aspect. We have a lot of support from the community for this type of thing. So in the application, which is going to be a big application and it's going to be very competitive. So I want to make it very known that don't hold your breath on us receiving funding because it will be very competitive. But it is, stream 2 is first come, first served. There's no deadline, but the money's there until it's not. So we want to kind of be ahead of the curve and get it in to at least have a better chance of potentially getting something. So with that, we have to submit an application form, the business case, which is what I'm talking about, the revenue neutral and how we're going to afford to operate this property and keep it and maintain it and all those things. So I will be doing that as well. Proof of ownership, the endorsement from council, the resolution, partnerships if required, and request for special circumstances. So we'll be requesting the 70%. We're gonna go for the 70. And then supporting documentation. So the plans, designs, details, that's why we got the floor plan drawing. Financial resources, quotes and estimates, which we have to go with that, and then letters of support if required. The other thing that's beneficial and helps is that we have our 2023 financials submitted and into the province. That looks good in your application as opposed to people who do not. So that's a good thing for us. Again, it's been discussed at council as far as the high level feasibility plan, but we've never actually sat down and said, what would it necessarily look like? So this was us just kind of taking a stab at the dark, on a building that we think would suit us if we were able to get funding that would suit us and be a very much multi-purpose space, for a number of things and not just hockey. But for a multitude of different items. And then obviously as we, other OTF grants and things like that become available, we can apply for different aspects to this building as well. Or the space in general and help offset those costs.
Thank you, Allison. That's a lot of
information, I'm gonna just go right out and just open back to council for sure, so.
First off, this is exactly the type of thing that we need to do going forward. I do think though we need more of a strategic plan on how we would go forward, but I think a multi-purpose thing like this is excellent. And it can dovetail into what we're doing there. Well, think about it, hockey rink wise outdoor, you're gonna see less and less ability to keep your ice just because of the way things are going. But if you have a structure, and whether it's just like those marshmallow things out in the back, or it's a wooden structure or a steel structure, it is something that everyone, and we're trying to attract young families, and they need someplace to go. And perhaps part of it becomes a splash pad, you know, we can build on everything that we're doing there, and it is gonna be highly competitive. Because as a third party Merrickville Lion, I just sat in a meeting this morning where that township approached the Lions to help with something like that, in that. So I think that it's gonna be super competitive. I am in favor of moving forward on something like this. And it's one of the reasons that I wanted to be on council. Sure.
100% the same as Trevor. I think we should move forward. We started with 22 acres. Again, being reasonable, if we do have to be successful, then we do something within our community moving forward. But definitely, that's the biggest thing we can have. You know, we can have, we can have dances, we can have music. And just like there's everything, all hockey. And it's something you can use all year. And even if you only use the ice for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's still something that, you're just gonna live, go skating, play a little hockey. So I think it's a great thing to go after, especially if they're gonna pay 70%, if you have to get up to 70%.
It's huge, yeah, for that party.
I think Callie did a wonderful job in such a short amount of time. Considering we just found out about this at AMO, literally sent her a text message from AMO and she got on it like ASAP. I understand the numbers look really high, but again, we got one number just so we could get something in, get it on paper and get it out there. I think this is gonna be great if we could end up one of the lucky ones and be able to move forward, and I think it would benefit this township so much. Outdoor venues, right now, we don't have that as an option. Right now, it's, we go in the field and if it's raining, rain, sleet or snow, you're out there, at least this gives us a place to do a lot more as a community. And maybe draw some other community folk in as well and do some bigger things here, so I think this is wonderful.
Chair, through you, just to reiterate, we're not tied to this quote, right? So even if we're successful, we have to follow procurement. And we're gonna put out and get those prices back. And worst case scenario, if we do put them out and they're more than what we're willing to put forward, even at a 50% or 30%, we say thank you, but we cannot move forward with this at this time. So I just want to make that clear that just because council's seeing this number, everything still has to come back. The procurement still has to happen. It ultimately has to be approved by council. This is just high level. That's all I just want to make clear.
Bree Jennings?
Yeah, thanks. Also, just to bring back that this did start previous. The fact that recreation feasibility study was done to get the shovel-ready projects, as you guys call it, to get it going, to have a vision. The residents responded to that survey to have a vision, saying that, we can't afford to do the indoor rinks and all that stuff, but we have a vision. We want something like this in the township. That's what they're looking for. They also commented about our Rosedale Hall and how they didn't want that not being fixed the way that we've fixed it up. It's now being used. We've been successful thanks to the grant applications through Trillium and through Ali doing that great work to get the play structure down there and things down there. So the township is moving forward the best that a small rural can be moving forward. And that's thanks to the councils, thanks to staff, and thankfully, luckily enough, to the government putting these grants out. So this is great work. Thanks.
All amazing points. Like I love, Trevor saying that too as well, but this is exactly why you want that to make sure we move forward. Like Bree Jennings really, I think you nailed it. Like we might even go back to when the land was purchased back in the day, and then also trying to make a plan for it that we looked at the feasibility study. And I think you hit it right on the nail on the head when you said, originally we had a falling apart Rosedale Hall, we were doing it in 22 acres and the residents weren't too sure exactly what we were trying to do. And we said, we want to go after grants, we want to go after ways to see how that we can make this stuff better. It's been proven in the at Rosedale Hall of how that can be done. And now I think there's another great opportunity here, this 22 acres as we've had the plan, like we didn't have to pull us out of thin air. We've already started the process too as well with bringing the parking lot and we're moving forward with that. I think those are all like very positive things, but also acknowledging that this is a very highly competitive, but we're also not trying to scramble. We are prepared going into it. I think that's also that's very exciting too as well. I think this is a great opportunity beside the school too as well. And I think like everybody sort of acknowledges that too as well. The opportunities in our area and nothing is tied. This is we're just starting the process to get into it. And I think that's a really important part of it. And it's forward thinking. And I really hope that the residents of Montague see that too, as well as that forward thinking as we continue to make the great improvements in the township in a very financially and fiscally responsible way. So it's so encouraging to hear that around the council table and going forward, trying to make our community even better, and you've really seen it grow in a positive way over the last few years, and we continue to want to do that. So let's do what we can, Ellie. You make the magical like writing stuff go and make it look great, and we'll go for that, and we'll push and we'll see where that goes. So
I'll say
100%.
One of the biggest things about going for us is we have already done a study of what our ratepayers want to see. And other municipalities that I may not live in sometimes, or have visits in, are not in that case. So it sets us aside from when we're trying to apply for stuff. So it's a big deal that we've already done it. So kudos to that.
Yeah, it's a really good job on it. Perfect. Well, I'm excited to do this. Yeah, so moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree and thirded by Councillor Johnson. The council of the Township of Montague approved the application to the Community Support and Recreation Infrastructure Grant Application Stream 2 for the purpose of a new multi-sport facility inclusive of accessible washroom and changing room. The council approved the use of up to 1.5 million in reserves and all borrowing for the facility was successful for the application. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Next up, as we are trying to get rid of an old generator, let's get a new one.
Thank you, Chair. So in front of you this evening, and this was the addition to the agenda. So this is the report for the purchase of the 100 kilowatt generator that will be backup for the new fire and public works building. The 60 kilowatt that we got the grant for will still run the administration building because we're still going to be here. So we had reached out on the report on August 6th. We did provide a list of items that we were going to be responsible for at the township to try and save some money. That we would look after ordering it and procuring it and having it here and supplied. The generator was one of those items. We did get two prices for the generator. So it's the generator, the 800 amp transfer switch, and the pad and the placement of it onto the pad. Usually it's by crane, just by the weight of it. The pricing came in very competitive. As you can see, it's within $700 of each other. And it's well under the estimated budget or cost that we had initially thought of the 80,000. So the cost is inclusive of non-refundable HST, 58,131. So approximately $21,000 under budget. And if we get this ordered, hopefully it'll be placed prior to December, and then it's here. And we're not holding out any progress or causing any additional costs because we're delaying them.
That's fantastic. I'll open it right up to council for any questions as far as generator goes.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Chair. And also, so the Emergency Management Ontario grant that we got that paid for the other generator, it is open again, but we're not able to apply because we were successful in the first round. So otherwise, because we had that discussion that potentially we would do an application, we're not open to that. They're leaving it open to the municipalities who were not successful in the first round.
we were the winners and now we'll let it be for the rest. That's it. I was gonna bring that up because that's one of our information items down there. I think it was, and I was gonna mention that later on, exactly, because people might say, well, there's a grant there, why are we not going after that? It's because we already got the grant the first time, so we can't go after it.
That
So-
doesn't change my first of the year, would it? That would be another grant, start it up again. If we don't renew the generator, well, I mean, it's nice to have it, but if there's any chance there's a possibility,
So-
because we're into another year or two. It's just a thought, it's just awesome.
For you. So this is a new grant. This has not been one that's been every year. So we were successful in the first ever of this type of grant. I'm not saying that they won't have a third input or a fourth input or a fifth input, but I don't know the timing of it. And because I believe the last one was in March, when it closed. So they may, but we also have other items that we could purchase and apply for if it comes up that would be separate from the generator as well.
Yeah, I just was wondering if there's a chance.
Potentially.
We can get a grant and you know somebody that's pretty good at getting, but I mean, it's said, like, we'll try to get it, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was on the next, it's a pretty good price. That includes the installation and everything too as well.
So that includes placement onto the concrete pad. The actual installation is included in our building. Yeah, and the mechanical is included for the propane hookup. So that's a separate, that's included already in our building. We were just to supply and have it on site.
Now, and like the pricing is obviously very competitive. Are they two different generators or are they the same?
They're the
generator?
same. They're both Generacs.
Okay,
Same brand. Because one of the other companies did provide a quote for a different brand of a generator for $84,000. So they're both Generacs, 800 amp transfer switch, same generator.
Same
It's
generator.
like for like.
like,
Yeah.
like some of these
Yeah.
exact.
I didn't include the other ones. It was $84,000.
We
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
And you would never back.
No.
Any other questions from council at all? It's good, good. So moved by Councillor. I gotta make sure I don't go for regeneration as well. Don't think you're gonna- Moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Johnson. That council approves the direct. The clerk administrator to order the 100 kilowatt generator from DR Howe Electric in the amount of $58,130 inclusive of non-refundable HST. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, these now to go through real quick, so moved by Councillor Johnson and seconded by Lee Jennings, that council approved the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of August 6, 2024, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? Any discussion or questions on that at all? Seeing none. Moved by Lee Jennings and seconded by Councillor Bass, that council approved the minutes of the MRCC meeting of June 27th, 2024, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? Any questions, comments? Seeing none. So the bylaws must be the bylaw?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just, probably just gonna speak to the board of bylaw before we pass it.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this is the bylaw that we have to pass in relation to borrowing from Infrastructure Ontario, which council approved me to go ahead and start at the August 6th meeting. So this is just the beginning process. It takes about 8 weeks. So I've had to send off our last 3-year financials, our asset management plan, our capital plan, all those good things to Infrastructure Ontario. I'll keep you in the loop, but this is just part of the process. This will be for short term, so basically a construction loan. When we go to lock in the actual amount that we need to borrow, that's whenever the interest rates are set, and right now they're projecting down, so that's a good thing for us. So next year, when the project is actually completed and we have our final number, that's when we'll lock in, and council will pass another bylaw with the interest rate and the payment schedule.
Excellent. Any questions from council? It was nice, I remember stopping by the booth to stop. I didn't want to have a quick chat with the people from Infrastructure Ontario and exactly like, the up-to-date rate was already 0.3 less than what we had sort of have and no one's got a magic ball, but looking forward to seeing the interest rates come down too as well. I remember talking with the lady and gentleman that were there and they were kind of saying, well, you have to make sure your financials are done and you have to make sure you're like, oh yeah, we're good. It's the way they were talking about it too as well. It's like, it sounds like a lot of municipalities don't necessarily have that. And they're saying, you have to make sure these things are done. I'm like, no, we're already like checking the boxes. We're already good. We're betting on. I said, we're even we're in the top 25 as far as making sure when we submit stuff, she's like, okay, you guys are really doing well, so. So great job, Ali, to make sure that we are doing, and staff, yes, we make sure that we're moving forward and getting 100%, so. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that bylaw 4084-2024 being the bylaw to authorize certain legal capital works of Corporation Township of Montague, the municipality authorized the submissions of an application to the Ontario Infrastructure and Land Corporation for financing of such capital works to authorize temporary borrowing from the OILC to meet expenditures in connections with the such capital works to authorize long-term borrowing for such capital works to be used of the ventures in OILC. You read the first, second, and third time passed, signed, and sealed the third day of September 2024. All in favor? That's great. This is just the bylaws that we already did, so moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Johnson, the bylaw 4085-2024 being the bylaw to enter into the road allowance use agreement between the Rio Trail Association and the Corporation of the Township of Montague. Here are the first, second, and third time passed, signed, and sealed this third day of September 2024. All in favor? That's good. Moved by Councillor Johnson and seconded by Jennings, that bylaw 4086-2024 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of tax arrears extension agreement pursuant to section 378 of the Municipal Act 2001, be read the first, second, and third time passed, signed, and sealed this third day of September 2024. All in favor? That's good. That is all of the bylaws and the agreements. I'm just gonna go through this like, I guess sort of quick, just about the information items. I did bring forward just a few things, and once again, just to talk about some of the I guess we say what's going on in the county. And to give any updates that people are unsure about things that we've all read this stuff. I'm not gonna go through the situation table, but if you have questions about the situation table, it's good to ask them about. It's a pretty renowned group of people from the county that this is actually was started in our county. It's been sort of expanded out to a lot of different places around Ontario and the country. And the idea was to bring together all of the different people from the policing to child cares to health agencies and everything else to try to identify people that might be going in or going down the wrong way as far as criminal activity or trouble and all that and that kind of stuff. And it started and it's hard to talk about things that you stop. Everybody talks about sort of the when the bad crime happens and how we deal with it then. The prevention side of it. And this has been a pretty good prevention piece that has helped mitigate some of those issues. The police bring forward a lot of things too as well, saying, no, we've done a few like calls to these houses. And we want to make sure that we don't have to go back for a bigger case too as well. So there has been some successes, but the biggest problem with these successes is they can't be talked about because there's a lot of confidentiality behind it. So they have some data and they have some stats there, which is very interesting stats to show that things could be worse in that sense too as well. So I like to talk about them because it's one of those groups that we can talk about the stats, but we can't talk about the situations. We can't talk about what's going on there because of confidentiality, but it is something that does do good things in the community to hopefully which leads me into the next part. We talked about at the county, we received the homelessness and the housing and homelessness report. Everybody can read through it, but it once again, it gives great information and data for everything the county's, so what the county is responsible for all of that housing and everything else. So that upper tier is for. A lot of that is also we're going to go over service providers. So the money comes from the province in order to put that kind of out there. To help it out. I think a lot of the data in there is really interesting about how many like rented gear income, housing that is out there and everything else to try to work towards it. There's a lot of things going on in the county too as well. We try to make sure that we're on top of the best we can for the housing needs. But it's a good read that really understand kind of what's going on, but it doesn't mean we can't do more and we need more. And I think that's a big part. The next part I want to bring up is the international workers. There's a lot of stuff about the international workers I think going on in media right now. And I think a lot of it talks about the unskilled labor too as well and how that's not working. This is sort of a good news story of the skilled labor because we've had a hard time at Lanark Lodge at hiring people. And one of the things that we went through a process, we started. I think it was earlier this year, is that looking at bringing people in to work at Leonard Lodge from around the globe that have the papers and the experience and everything else that can do that. Welcomed our first person to start, and there's a couple more people going. We're working through the housing part of it too as well, but it's another avenue, because as we all know, there's a shortage in certain labor places, and Leonard Lodge has been definitely showing that as we see some of our staffing challenges there too as well. So that's kind of a good news story of the international workers, is we're trying to find ways that hopefully at the launch that can mitigate that problem. Next one's kind of exciting is sit on the Trails Committee up at the county too as well. And we were able to get into a bit of agreement with Trans Canada Trail, which is kind of nice. And Trans Canada Trail is just a Trans Canada highway. It takes you from one part of the country to the other part of the country. And it's linking all the trails, and everything else to do that. So it's taking our trail and the grant money that we were able to get from Trans Canada, as we kind of agreed and go into them, a lot of that money was actually spent in Montague. So they did a bunch of upgrades, so starting in Kelly Jordan and kind of going up towards Beckwith. So I was kind of excited. I was really excited when we were discussing it, because it's great for our whole trail system. But that financial money that was able to be used to help sort of fix up some of the areas that are directly the trails directly in Montague, which I think is a very positive thing for our local ratepayers, along with what's going on at the county. And I'll leave the last part for mostly reading, but I'm just going to highlight one part, and that's the H, because I just want to talk about the Seawall emergency issue funding policy. If anybody knows what's going on with childcare, and you know how much of a, for lack of a better term, a bit of a gong show it is, as far as trying to find childcare, and also the funding models that came down, and the way that the province also made everybody freeze their rates back in 2022 and exponential costs, and there's a lot that are hurting for money. We've advocated a lot to make sure that there's some more funding to help make sure we don't lose more childcare because they have to go out of business, or they're because they're running into deficits. So we try to make them whole. So we did get some money for that, but once again, we can't emphasize enough that the childcare program, or the childcare sort of crisis that we have as far as finding enough spaces and keeping them funded properly is a huge problem. So I want to make sure I highlight that, because I know it's something that is talked about in our community, and sort of what we try to mitigate with through that sort of that program. And speaking with the executive director, Emily at the county, and she goes, "This is probably one of the worst like put out programs that has been downloaded to us that she's probably seen." So it's hopefully we can find ways to fix that, because childcare is definitely a big problem. So any questions on any of that? I think so. So on that note, before we go to any other unfinished business, if there's any burning questions from the audience in the online world. Seeing none, seeing shakes from right there, that's good, all right. So, moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Bass, that council recess the council meeting of September 3rd, 2024 at 7:08 p.m. All in favor? That's carried. We're going to go to our community whole, we have to go to this part for the street. So we're just going to take a 2-minute break, and then we're going to come back to it. Sure. Back.
I can do that.
Miss Reeve Jennings.
I can see Tom.
They're not live
What's that, what's that show, the polka dot, no.
It won't let me. You cannot start your video because the code, oh, there we go.
Found your room. And,
Yeah. Just my paw, but it wouldn't let me do it. It said the host hadn't allowed me to do that yet. I'm here.
everybody.
Thank you for going.
Welcome back, everybody, to our committee of the whole meeting. So we'll open the meeting with our land acknowledgement. The council and the staff of the township of Montague acknowledge this sacred land on which the township of Montague is now located, and this meeting is being held as an ancestral and ceded territory of the Algonquin Shawnee Nation. So we've got your agenda, so moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that the committee of the whole agenda dated September 3rd, 2024 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? It's carried. Any disclosure of interest, you will let me know at any time. I'm not like many delegations in the committee of the whole, and our first report on municipal officers is Kirsten. Take it away, Kirsten.
So the report we have before you this evening relates to a service called OnLand. OnLand is the online registry office that replaced the brick and mortar registry office buildings that used to exist. And staff, me, I'll use the word staff, me, I get a lot of inquiries from people asking for assistance in getting documents through this registry office online portal. Part of the reason I get asked is because that is my educational background, 20 years as a real estate legal assistant. So I have a lot of experience with registry office documents and using the online registry office. The portal itself, it does have some assistance available for people. It does give some step-by-step instructions, but there's a guide that I prepared that's attached to the report that is a little bit clearer. I think it provides screenshots, which I find are very beneficial for people. That way they're following the process from beginning to end. I would say the majority of the people that I work with are able to either work their way through the program without my manual, or my manual will help them, but there are always a handful that need a little bit of extra assistance. For reasons such as they don't have a computer. Using an iPhone is not advantageous for using OnLand. Maybe they don't have a credit card, maybe they don't feel comfortable using a credit card online. They're not comfortable with technology at all, or they just don't understand the jargon that's used in the world of the registry office. And they want to make sure that they're getting exactly what it is that they need, because it can be expensive. You do pay to use the portal. Every document that you obtain, you do have to pay for. And you don't get to see it in advance, so if you get the wrong thing, you've paid for it, and then you have to go in and get something again and pay for it, hopefully getting it right the second time or third time. So I've been asked a couple of times if I would be able to assist people with getting those documents on their behalf. The difficulty is that, again, it is using a credit card, and it is a service that we currently do not authorize myself to do. So that's what this request is for this evening, is to get some feedback from council to see if this is a service that perhaps council would authorize me to offer. There would be a fee for me doing this, and the fee schedule that I'm proposing is attached to the report. I think it's pretty nominal, and again, this would be for, at this point in time, for people who are going through the process of a planning application. So these are documents that I need as part of their complete application, so I have sort of a bit of a vested interest in having the correct information because I need it in order to process their application, so it wouldn't be a service at this time that would be offered to the public. For example, someone that would walk through the front door and need a copy of their deed or their survey or their parcel register. We do have some surveys on file, and if somebody does need a copy of their survey, if we have it, I'll make them a photocopy of what I can from our records, but it would only be offered at this point to planning application applicants. Not sure what more I could add at this point, so I think I'll just open it up to council for questions or comments.
Thank you, Kirsten. I'll go, Council, yes, thank you.
Well, my question is just help you in your job.
Oh, definitely.
I think that's all I need to know. Thank you.
I think this is wonderful customer service that's going to aid you in your job, so it makes us look great. As a municipality, because we're going above and beyond and reaching to make this an easier process than it needs to be, so I do not see anything but this being advantageous for us to do so, so.
Sure.
That's awesome.
I think it's a great service for sure. So if we're looking it up, we still need somebody's credit card to do that though, right? Or is there a way that we can sort of like charge it and then charge it here, like using that at our terminal?
So the current process is that we would use township credit card in order to get those documents from on land. And that the applicant would be paying for those documents immediately. So for example, if somebody walked in, they would have an appointment with me so that I could go online with them in the room, confirm the property that they're needing the information for. Get the documents and they would pay it at that time. So cash, debit, check, the way they would pay any other expenses.
And use our corporate card to.
Correct.
To buy it off of that, to get that, and they pay that back.
And it would be by appointment only, and throughout the document, I hope I was very clear in saying that. It's not a system that is impossible for people to use. I just am very fortunate that I have a lot of experience with it. So for me, it comes very easily in second nature. Currently, I'm the only staff member that has the ability to use it, I believe. So I'm the only one that will be providing the service. So as long as I'm here, then it would be me, and it would be by appointment only also, just to make sure that I'm available. So it wouldn't just be somebody walking in.
I mean, the waiver side of it, because we describe that too as well, I kind of say like, you know, if there's a mistake or if there's whatever, like it's, you know, like it's.
I did speak with a lawyer. I was talking about another file that is somebody that I used to know from my past life. And we talked about waivers because that's very important. And so it needs to be very clear to people that this isn't legal advice, legal opinion. We're not certifying title to anyone. We're simply obtaining the documents on their behalf that they've directed us to do. And also in the waiver, there's, I think it's laid out pretty well that we're not like a receptacle for these documents for life, that basically you're paying for them and we will give them to you, whether it's email, PDF, or printed copies, and here you go, but we're not responsible for holding on to them forever. Nor are we going to be taking calls when you say, could you please send this to my realtor? Could you forward this to my lawyer? Could you send this to someone who's interested in buying my property? That's not the service. The service is simply obtaining the documents for the purpose of an active ongoing planning application. Until such time council wants to provide direction to maybe open it up, and this is something we can look at down the road. If it goes well, we might look at offering that to the public, but again, I would caution that still using the waiver and still by appointment.
That seems fair. How long would it take you to do the same? So I call them in appointment to you, like sort of 1:30. What time am I gonna be getting out with my files and things?
I can generally do it in about 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, so that's what I'm getting at too, so like if you're gonna tell me half an hour, I'm thinking, like, you know, maybe they're charging $5, it's not really the, rate charge, but if you're saying like, I walk in at 1:30, kick me into your office at 1:40. And I have my documents in there, and it costs me $5, and it's not a lot of time on your part of it, but it's a good service side of the market, so. Okay.
If I had the portal open right now, I could already have had your documents open, prepared and printed off to the printer by the time my report was done.
Perfect.
Yep.
Share through you. So in relation to that, I was first the same thing. We look at our fees and charges on an annual basis and bring back in January. So it'll give us a couple of months with it as well. And then if we need to adjust, because on average, maybe people are chatty or something that is taking more time, we'll look at it. But for right now, person thought that was fair. So
I have 2 files actually currently where they're on hold because they are waiting for the outcome of council's decision. Because they said to me they want me to get this stuff. for them. One of them was gonna come tonight, but he was not able to.
Put you on the timer clock for your best. Never we want to push anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Karen, I can look up to you again.
Yeah, you keep forgetting me over here now. It's all good. My comments got addressed in the fact that I did touch base with Ali to make sure that it wasn't going to be any additional burden to our staff member, and that the fee that we were charging would be reviewed given the time that's going to take, etc. So it's all good. It's been addressed.
Other questions at all? Have you said, Karen? Okay, good.
If I could just ask one question, because I'm not really great with the procedural thing, but we do have to update our fees and charges bylaw in order to reflect this, so I'll defer to the clerk. For, you know, how the timeline for that works as far as notice, that's it.
So for the, just for you, so for the fees and charges, it just really depends. So notice is different based on if it's building fees and things like that, but for something like this, the bylaw will be back at your next meeting. We're adding a service, we're not increasing anything, and we're not, as for the building code, we don't have to have those requirements, so it'll be at the next meeting. So that our 2 files can move forward.
We're waiting for the call.
Perfect. So moved by Councilor Nass and seconded by Councilor Crabtree. The council receives this report and direct staff to prepare amendment to the current user fees and charges by law. To address the additional fees associated with providing assistance to planning applications applicants by obtaining online documents on their behalf and present some of council to consideration in the upcoming council meeting. And the council authorizes junior planner to assist planning application applicants by obtaining online documents on their behalf following execution of waiver and liability and release form attached to this report in appendix B. All in favor? Unanimous. Carried.
Thank you.
Person. Well, we're getting into that fun time of the year on budget time. So just a quick update on our timelines.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, favorite time of year. Coincides with Christmas too. So the 2025 budget has begun. The managers have their documents. I'll be meeting with them the week of September 16th to go over the first drafts. Our insurance documents are off to insurance to get the quotes on those. We should have those quotes back about the end of October, mid-November somewhere. So this is similar to last year where it's anticipated that council will receive their documents in October. We'll give at least 3 weeks, potentially 4 weeks for council to have them, review them. It'll be up on the public website for people to have time to take a look at it. And then we'll have the first meeting in November to speak about the draft budget. But we like to give, this council has been very clear and staff is very much in favor of being transparent and open and having that communication. So similar to last year, we'll provide a substantial amount of time for people to see the budget, the initial draft budget, and have comments in relation to it. And then hopefully, again, similar to last year, that we'll be passing our capital works in December. Any kind of CPI increases for January 1, and then final budget approval in January of 2025 in case anything changes. Keeping in mind our water and sewer budget, again, the timeline's a little different because we wait on the towns and smalls to set their rates and we establish ours off that. So similar to last year, unless council would like to see something different.
Sounds good to me. Ready for it? I have to look up.
Yeah, healthcare.
The omnipresent region.
So yeah, no, that's great. I think like, the timeline is exactly it. We want to make sure that we're as open as possible. We love having our budget finalized, like being, doing budget in March or April, because it's, you're already into the year at that point. We want to have our tenders out, so yes, we want to keep this process. It's fantastic. So thank you, staff. So moved by Councilor Crafty, seconded by Councilor Johnson. The council approved the 2025 budget timeline as presented this date. All in favor? And that's good. Another exciting thing, line dancing. So I will quickly touch on that.
Sure, thank you, Chair. So we do have, we had line dancing at Rosedale Hall as part of our senior community grant for the 2023-24. And it was very well attended. We had a lot of individuals under 55. They were interested in it, but we were full with the 55+ group. So Just for Kicks has actually came forward to the municipality and would like to offer line dancing every Monday evening from September until December as a trial run. So if there's enough interest, they would like it to be a regular event, a regular thing at Rosedale Hall, which would be great for us. So our hall rentals right now, the individual who runs it is a resident of the municipality. So the hall rental right now will be $100 plus HST for 4.5 hours. The classes are only an hour and a half. And they were wondering if there was any ability to discuss the rate with council to get it up and running. So for the first trial and see if it gets established and is successful, and then they would go to the regular rental rate thereafter. The recommendation from staff is to approve a reduced rate for a trial period. I think, again, looking back on our recreation feasibility plan, looking back on the strategic plan from 2018, it was to get the hall used, get different recreation available to our residents, and this is a great example of that. Similar to our fire association doing the dark nights on Thursday nights. So the recommendation is to approve it for the trial period and then work with Just for Kicks moving forward after that, hopefully.
Thank you, Ally. Yeah, we talked about a reduced rate. So what is the recommended reduced rate?
$75 or $50, depending on, so I would go for the $50, do half for now, and then let them get established, and hopefully it's a successful thing. But I think, again, I think this community and this council want people to be successful and want these things to be successful. My recommendation would be to do the 50% right now. It would be $50 plus tax as opposed to $100 plus tax.
Yeah.
And then we'll readdress it in January.
And the cleaning side of things, it says like.
That would be on us.
Cleaning.
Yeah,
So like we make that, the rental fee kind of helps.
it'll offset.
But the cost of the cleaning side.
Yeah, it will assist with that. As far as the cleaning side, and keeping in mind that our cleaning budget has been under budget anyways for the last couple of years. So we have the funds there to do this.
I think it's a great thing, and it's also allowing the resident that's also funding it to as well, which I think is exactly what the community side of it. But on that note, I'll let the council for any comments or questions at all, or Gerald. Yeah.
As part of our council, I think this is wonderful. Well, one, it's taking a day that's usually dead Monday. So it would normally be empty, nonetheless. Number two, there is no risk to us. They're going to promote it, we're gonna help promote it, but ultimately, if they succeed, it just means more events for municipalities. So being that it's a non-risk item, being that it's basically a no risk cost wise or anything, I think it's wonderful.
So, I know this is already being talked about because there were some people in the bakery that were talking about doing this and they want to put their name for it and stuff like that. So anytime you do something like this, then all of a sudden somebody wants to do something on Tuesday. We went there so we can build on that. And also when you look around at so many halls, they are empty all the time. So if we can find a way to even get a few days out of the week I don't see how we wouldn't want to try and give it a shot.
It's a win.
Yeah. I would
If it's being talked about, big.
It's got huge.
It's a win-win situation. Everything we're actually really moving forward, but let's keep it moving.
And it's successful, I mean, there will be, if it's really successful, they're gonna pay the full fees and keep it going, all that kind of stuff. So he wants, like, exactly what Ellie's saying, you wanna keep things going, so.
I was watching, you know, see, she goes, what are you gonna?
No, I am in agreement. The only risk though that Gerald talks about would be if I'm in the back corner with the 2 left feet trying to do this, tripping, falling, you know, that sort of thing.
Those big bubbles.
You sign a waiver though.
We need videos for the Christmas parties on stage.
So Chair, through you, again, we can look at this almost like an economic development aspect as well, that, you know, we did reach out to businesses and some of them put their business cards on our Montague Messenger. But that definitely had a cost to us, but a benefit to them as well, and the same thing kind of. And we have been very fortunate. I think even the darts brought that in, where people came into darts and said, wow, I didn't realize you guys had this nice in the hall. And we've gotten rentals from that, because I think October only has about 5 days that are not rented in the whole month. So it definitely, word of mouth is a huge thing, and it's been really good for us. So again, you're right, it would potentially develop that as well.
I think we've said this over the last year or two with the hall has transformed into, and I challenge you to find a hall in the area that is as up to date and nice as what that hall is in now. I wouldn't take that challenge 5 years ago, but I'll take that challenge now, because it has definitely been facelifted and really looks a lot better, and it really is a great spot, so it's great news. So I'm gonna break it off in one, it's good. So moved by Councilor Johnson and seconded by Reed Jennings, that Councilor approving option 1 in relation to the line dancing rental request. All in favor? Scary. There's no reports, no petitions, no motions, unfinished business, any unfinished business?
Just, I think the rec committee, it's just been an awesome, phenomenal job. Right from a couple years ago, when everybody put together this plan, it's all coming from it, and so thank you for everybody's on it. That's really well done. Serves us well.
It's exciting. Thank you for everything that's any questions or comments from the online world or from the audience or Mr. Thomas?
I have one comment, not on the meeting, but from the do on Saturday, where we went to the National Art Center. I'd like to thank Ally for organizing it. I'd like to thank council for backing Ally on it. And I'd like to thank the province of Ontario to help funding it. It was a great do. A lot of people really enjoyed it, myself included.
Thank you, Thomas. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I saw some pictures there too as well, and like a lot of smiling faces, and it's that's fantastic. So thank you for pointing that out to as well, because it's just another great thing that's going on in my area. Yeah. Thank you so much. On that note, we gotta close this one down, but we do have an in-camera that we're gonna go to. So moved by Reed Jennings and seconded by Councilor Bass, the committee of the whole meeting for September 3rd, 2024, now to be adjourned at 7:39 PM. All in favor? Carried.
Okay,
You are back on.
So welcome back. We just have to go to an in-camera meeting. So moved by Councilor Bass and seconded by Councilor Crabtree, the council resumes the council meeting on September 3rd, 2024 at 7:43 PM. All in favor? That's carried. So, moved by Councilor Crabtree and seconded by Councilor Johnson. The council moves into closed session at 7:43 PM. As per section 239(2) of the Municipal Acts, 2001, in order to address three items. Human resources staffing, human resources clerk, administrative treasurer, and human resources succession planning. More specifically, in being or part of the meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered is personal matters of an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. 239, advice is subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for the purpose. And the clerk administrator treasurer will be in the room for all three items. All in favor? That's carried.